Yeah, you don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm sipping on this whiskey, got one chance and it's risky, so you can't play around. And I got my team behind me like a background. I don't never back down, picking up the slack now. Now I'm focused, keep on grinding for my stacks now. I'm feeling lost in this ocean, where's a lighthouse? I keep on swinging for the fence and I ain't strike out. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling, yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. We're not here for a long time, yeah. It's 9 to 5, it's a long grind, yeah. A ladder to success, it's a long climb, yeah. Now I'm sitting here making up for time, yeah. Man, I took so many losses that I lost count. I didn't know what I was made of, but I found out. And this life will blindside, you better look out. These haters wanna see you fall and get you took out. Yeah, cause I fell on my face, and this life is a race. I keep on checking my place. Now I'm riding for my team, you can tell by my plates. And this life just threw a hook, it caught me right in the face. But I'm getting back up, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb a couple of mountains, I'll swim a couple of lakes. Don't got time for the bitching, don't got time for complaints. Now you going through some shit, now tell me how does it taste? You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm living with my choices, I just own my mistakes. Cause I'm screaming fucking handout, I ain't searching for breaks. But I'm barely treading water and this life is the lake. Now the pressure keeps on building as I'm raising the stakes. I ain't looking for advice, now I'm looking for space. Now I'm dealing with these losses, but I know I hate the taste. Now I'm sitting back, I'm thinking as I smoke it to the face. Now it's time for these apologies, the time is too late. So bygones be bygones, I'm on business with a tie on. So fuck a shoulder to cry on, I'ma get a hopper like Zion. Let's raise a glass, I'll toast that. Reminisce, we roast that. How I wrote them and ain't wrote back. I'm never flimsy, the goat's back. So I don't feel bad, no not at all. When a lot of years, write a lot of calls, a lot of birthdays without a call. Ain't got time for that, so fuck a fraud. You ain't there for me, I ain't there for you. You won't bleed for me, I won't bleed for you. All the hard times I lived through, keep moving, gotta get through. I got goals and cash I gotta get to. All these memories that I flipped through. If you can't relate, then don't judge. I stand my ground, I won't budge. I'm sitting back cause I burn buds. I swear to God, this life's good. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through.
And we are the whale, guys. I mean, we own it 5 times over.
We're the fucking whale. Plain and simple.
Well, that's the thing when people talk about VW, they keep saying, oh, it's different, it's different. It is, of course it is. But in some ways, I think it's stronger because you're dealing with people, say the majority haven't had it. But I don't know any billionaires that have been buying shares.
Well, you know what's wild? Wolfie, the Porsche settled with the government in 2008 and said, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
That was one whale. We are the mother of all whales.
Yeah, there's no settling with us. There's no settling with us.
Yeah, with us.
We're the board, man. You cannot reason with us. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We're going to assimilate you.
No matter how much they offer, there's going to be people saying, fuck that, I want double, triple, 5 times that amount. No matter what they offer.
100.
They could offer $100,000 a share, and I guarantee you 40% of the people would be like, fuck you, I want $500,000 a share, you know? That's what they'll be like, it's GameStop. I want $2 million a share.
I want Wall Street to get turned upside down, and I want to see a bunch of motherfuckers who are literally evil end up on the fucking street. You know,
Same.
I can't wait for fucking Biden to get on TV and stutter away and say, all right, there's enough of this. Gary Gensler and then the Fed. It's going to be phenomenal. This is great. I love it.
They might try to sweep it under the rug. They might just try to sweep it under the rug and be like, oh, all these hedge funds fucked us. Let's never talk about this again. You know, and that's it. So.
But that's why I love the fact that it's between 5 and 10 million people. Because the eyes are on this, you know, the noise has been made. And when it comes out, you're going to have 5-10 million burries that have all got a tale to tell. And, you know, there's going to be serious questions asked to the regulatory bodies. What the hell happened after 2008? And why didn't you put the rule changes in 2012? And what do you mean the only thing you did of any essence was an SSR rule and then made market makers exempt? You know, they're going to be serious questions. But then they got on the other side, they got a massive transfer of wealth to people that are going to have the time and be open to be able to say what they did, what their role was, what their part was. And then I'm hoping that's the big thing for me is change. 5-10 million people suddenly come into a serious amount of money, if that's how it ends up, because no financial advice. But if it works the way, you know, those who have, for the reasons they have, expect, you know, I'm hoping that's going to really change. And when I look at the SEC rule changes, etc., that's what actually gives me even more. I know, you know, a lot of people are down because it took so long and this, that and the other. Not really seen it, but that's background. That DOJ announcement for me was massive. I think that's why people get nervous when people start saying, oh, it's going to. And we've had, you know, I flagged it up, not that it got picked up on, but, you know, we've got real smart people that have been looking at this, real smart apes and DD done, etc. What if they was all meant to be correct? What if they were all correct, but because of everything going on in the background with the manipulation and the tricks and the market exempts and with all that going on, which is now known, I never knew none of this a year ago, 18 months ago. I never knew about market exempt. I didn't know they could do a naked share without a locate. And all this is coming out, and they're going to be serious questions saying, that's not liquidity. You know, there's court cases, there's a paper trail going back 20 years on this stuff. None of this is new. And when it comes out, it's blown wide open. It's not, you know, UK was told
$30 has arrived.
You ain't missed.
Go ahead, brother. You were making a great point. Keep going, brother.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just got cut off and then everyone pulled in, so I sort of lost trail. But it's that paper trail, which it's the aftermath of us hitting a home run, where we would have done money. And yet we've been here, you know, 2008 woke a lot of people up, but a lot of people still don't know the truth behind that. They've all watched The Big Short, etc., but they still don't know the truth. They just see it as it's what happens in the market. This time round, and we've been told by all MSMs, you know, the Gasparinos and, you know, I don't even like mentioning their names and give them airtime, but hold them responsible afterwards, because you're going to have all these experts that are on the telly getting paid hundreds of thousands of nice suits, talking down to us like we're all idiots, and insinuating everyone's like 16, 18, living at home with their mum, you know, never had to live in the real world. Blah. Come on now. This is people. These are the same people that the rules and the 1%ers and the stock market has ripped from your 401ks and lied to us. You know, this is blatant lies. This is theft. This isn't just the market and how it works. You know, dumb money loses money. Well, if you listen to the experts, everyone who bought AMC and only AMC has made a shit ton more than any of them experts have. And yet we're still held out as the ones that are the idiots. And when they want to talk and they want to go on and do their interviews, start talking about the real stuff. Because if you don't, afterwards you're going to have no credibility, because everyone's going to say, we told you, we told you, we told you. And you kept telling everyone not to put us off, because we was already in it, proved we weren't leaving, proved we weren't going nowhere. You came on MSN to tell everybody else whose money you had, every other investor, everybody who had a 401 and never invested in the market or a share or Apple, who lost their pension now, not because of us, we're the cure, not the cause. You told them that we were wrong and you were right. You told them we were dumb money, and you told them to go and buy Apple because it's going to hit a $3 trillion market, and it tanked. And they're the same people you did it to in 2008. My mum and dad, working 18 hours a day to pay a 17% mortgage because of some greedy bank that we had to bail out afterwards, we had to have austerity afterwards, we had to suffer afterwards, so that they carried on getting richer, and nothing changed. Dan, you answer that. You tell the people that. You come back and you explain that.
Fuck yeah, that's exactly
Church.
right.
Goddamn right,
like,
brother. Nothing fucking changed. We lost our fucking pensions, 401ks, life savings, our homes, our cars, everything, our jobs. And then we had to give them billions of dollars in fucking bailouts. Fuck these banks. It's our fucking time. $30 fucking dollars. Let's keep it fucking going.
That's right.
Wolfie,
that's
people
right.
are loving it, dude. Everyone feels that shit, dude. 100%, brother. Everyone is giving you so much props, man. You are fucking on point, and everybody knows it, man. No matter what the mainstream media wants to tell others, what they want to preach, I don't give a fuck if CNBC is owned by Citadel. I don't give a fuck that Pfizer owns CNN. We know what's really going on here. So thank you very much for that, brother. By all means.
Appreciate you, brother.
No worries, man. We've got to speak up for the millions that ain't here now. Don't forget, there's people gone from that. That 2008 hurt a lot of innocent people. And you'll be walking around. I do it every day. I've done it every day since January when I bought in. This was my chance to pay them back. But I walk around and it's like you see the scenes in some of the films when they're driving around in a car. I can't think what the margin called, the film. When he's driving around in that car and he's got the young lad next to him and the young lad's attitude is, I don't give a shit, you know, until he realises he's even going to be paid. But they're looking out the window and they're looking at all the people that just do not know. So if you're going to do things in your community, A1, top of my list, family, A2, top of my list, make sure you get that word out amongst the people you've got, because they call you stupid at day. Look at Burry, he's been wrong more times than he's right, but everyone holds him up as an expert. He sees something that we all see. You know, DFE started this ball rolling in GME. That's going to do its thing as well. You know, all this infighting and stuff, that has to stop, because it's me, you against them. It's not me against you. I mean, how does that work? They want it. We got all the bots arguing with bots and we all jump in on it. No. Start talking about the people that were hurt, the people that have been forgotten. Go and have a look at the Wall Street Conspiracy, the film that they pulled 5 minutes before it's due to air in America. Go and have a look at Darren Saunders walking around with the placards on. That man died fighting what we're fighting today. You know, there's good people that ain't here today. We need to remember them and we need to be loud after this. It's not because we're rich, not because we're arrogant bastards that turned into the people that we're fighting against, but because we care and we want change. We want these fuckers held accountable. Running around in their planes when we can't even go out, can't even visit our mums. Come on now. Change. We need change.
Fuck, man, I will vote for you. Just fucking run.
Wolfie for president.
Bro, for real.
Prime Minister, everything.
Sheriff, and now I'm going to $1 million.
Thank you, Wolfie, for that excellent introduction. Welcome to BossBlunts Think Tank. Thanks for being here with us today. We're going to be discussing some very interesting new developments in the Chinese and Taiwan military situation, as well as executive orders that have in the past caused stocks to have massive short squeezes and a vast amount of margin calls to occur. I'm going to share my screen with everybody in the think tank so you guys can see and jump in at any moment. Thank you, Cash Money, and everybody else for being here. Pantheon, appreciate you. We might be lucky and have a couple other guests join us today as well. Everyone is free to jump in at any time. But for those of you that have been following this channel, you're probably well aware that there's a little executive order by President Biden that extended the executive order from Biden and previously Donald Trump that removed the ability for hedge funds and market makers and prime brokers to use emerging market collateral, mainly Chinese military company party collaterals. That being the case, Terrible. Terrible. Unreal.
Hey, boss, I think you're muted on YouTube.
I see that. Which is fucking bullshit. We got some audio here. That's unreal. Excuse me, people. My apologies. Thanks for replying and telling me that we have audio now. Citadel shorted my stream just yet once more. This is not cool. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry that that happened. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. But I will say this much. There's been audio leaked of Chinese military officials having a meeting and actively discussing the invasion of Taiwan and how to defeat regional U.S. forces. As of last week, the Chinese were literally practicing how to invade Taiwan. Switch it over to the other screen. We can jump in with the think tank. Are we back? Can you guys hear me? All of you guys and gals in the think tank?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Cash Money, Pantheon. Thank you guys for being here, everybody in the tank. I'm sure we might have some others jumping in, possibly AMC Bigums and Edward Britchick and anybody else. Maybe my man Jackson Hunter will stop in as well. So, in the past week, there's been a Central Military Commission of the State Council in Beijing on transitioning to a wartime system. That is in quotations. Transitioning to a wartime system. Those participating in the meeting included major generals of Guangdong and all the provincial parties, secretaries of the political and legal committees, executive vice governors, etc. This was a photo secretly taken of the meeting of May 2022 involving senior officers of the People's Liberation Army's Guangdong military region of the Southern Command and the principal officers in Guangdong Province Administration and the regional CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. The audio and meeting photo were provided by Lewd Media, and it is here. I could play it for you, but unless you speak Chinese, I doubt you'll understand anything. You can find it on thegatewaypundit.com if you'd like to check it out and listen to it in Chinese, but I'll tell you what it's about. The meeting was focused on 3 areas: building a military-civilian joint mobilization command and control system, establishing wartime procedures, and preparing for wartime command and control. Over the last several weeks, we've seen China sending larger and larger forces in the air traveling through Taiwan airspace. They've done this specifically, in my opinion, well, they've done this for a long time, but in my opinion, as of late, they've been doing it more so to gauge the actual response time from Taiwan and American forces in the area, the regional U.S. forces that they're discussing. The main military objectives are to smash Taiwan independence and to ensure victory in a decisive battle in the South China Sea. They said it is necessary to coordinate the 2 directions of the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, and the 2 areas of maritime and land protection, the 2 traditional and new forces, resources and overseas, and the focus on cohesive resources to ensure the direction. Long story short, they're going to send 1,358 units of a variety of types with a total of 140,000 personnel, 953 ships, 1,653 unmanned aircraft, drones, almost 1,700 unmanned aircraft, 20 airport terminals, 6 shipyards, 14 emergency mobilization centers, grain and oil depots, hospital blood bank. It sounds like Xi Jinping has been taking some notes on what Russia did wrong in their attacks against the NATO and Azov Nazi forces in Ukraine. 15,500 military experts of various disciplines. You can count on generals and strategic experts. 64 roll-on, roll-off ships, 10,000-ton vehicles, 38 aircrafts, 588 trains, and 19 civilian facilities such as airport docks. Looks like, oh yeah, look, China intends to apply the lessons learned during the COVID-19 pandemic towards mobilization and control of its population to meet wartime objectives. They want to convert the experience and practice of the prevention and control of the new corona epidemic in previous years into measures for social prevention and control during wartime to ensure that the people's production and life are orderly, the overall situation is stable, and to create a favorable environment and conditions for strategic victory. China is trying to lay an easy claim to victory, meanwhile propping up their stock market, much like the United States is. The military political commissar has been ordered to use Chinese assets, both domestic and international, and the political influencers that the Chinese Communist Party has cultivated in the West to support its coming war in Asia. The political commissar stated that overseas mobilization, decisive victory against Taiwan, and Chinese state-owned enterprises. Let's just go forward, and they're going to be using everything that they've got. All of their small corporations, all their Chinese owned corporations, their army, special materials, oils, grains, to fight the United States and Western Alliance and protect the military. China's already helping Russia. China's already helping Russia. And you can see clearly from things that we've shown you in the past that America's not having it. There have been massive sanctions against China at our own detriment. Our own detriment. Same thing with China. Such as this executive order 13959 that was signed on November 12th of 2020 by Donald Trump. And on January 28th, 2021, GameStop hit all-time highs. And AMC and GameStop were forced into position close only because of the volatility and the massive short squeeze that was occurring. It was extended. This executive order was amended and extended, and that collateral that became worthless, which is basically Chinese military company collateral, was extended and became worthless on May 27th as well. This caused another short squeeze in which on June 2nd, AMC hit its all-time high of $72 a share. On June 3rd, President Biden passed another executive order 14032, June 3rd, 2021, that supersedes in part Executive Order 13959 and revokes a different Executive Order 13974 because it updates and adds more companies that are going to become useless through this reduction of collateral acceptance by executive order of the President of the United States. We're going to be so fucking rich because these assholes are going to cause a short squeeze, thankfully. In a lot of stocks like AMC and GameStop and meme stocks around the world. On June 3rd, 2021, unfortunately, he extended that collateral and gave it back to them for a period of 1 year. On page 30,146 of that same executive order, we can see that it was extended through June 3rd, 2022, 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. It is now May 17th, 2022, and we are getting closer and closer to that date. Thank you, everybody, for your support. I'll get to your commentary after the chat here. I do want to touch on a few things. We know that this has caused major issues for BlackRock, Vanguard, and banks around the world in the past. Just like many of them lost billions. Shoot. We know that many of them lost billions. Lost billions in Russia. Lost billions in China due to this executive order and others. And their ETF exposure is huge. Huge. Probably in the hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. Because one emerging market ETF alone from Vanguard had a 43% exposure to the Chinese market when that one was holding around $72 billion in assets at the time. And they told us that since the executive order was first announced, Vanguard will fully comply with it and continue to monitor the situation to ensure ongoing compliance. When does ongoing compliance take place? June 3rd, 2022. That's when. What happened on February 16th? The United States Treasury, on the 15th, they added regulations to implement a November 12th, 2020 executive order related to security investments that finance this Chinese military Communist Party companies that were amended on June 3rd, 2021, related to the Chinese military industrial complex and Chinese surveillance technology. All of these companies are being added. This hit the Federal Register on Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, and about 35 more companies were added to that list from the United States Treasury. At the same time, we're seeing China, that's basically, according to the Gateway Pundit, they say that the Biden regime simultaneously is destroying the American economy, risking nuclear war by sending billions of dollars to protect Ukraine's borders rather than our own, and while the U.S. military undermines its own readiness through woke policies and useless vaccine mandates, China prepares for victory. I'm going to try to keep any hearsay I can out of this, but they make some great points. And the Chinese military is actively discussing this. As of May 16th, 2022, at 11:30 a.m., we found out this information, that there is a secret recording of Chinese military meeting that is planning the invasion of Taiwan and the defeat of the United States regional forces. We've got clear evidence. It's been leaked. We've got we've got the actual audio, and we've got a lot of other information here as well. Okay, unless you speak Chinese, you're not going to understand what the hell he's saying. If you do, you can go find this on the gatewaypundit.com and translate it for yourself. Why would Biden extend an executive order to give Chinese military company a leg up by letting them trade on our stock market past June 3rd of 2022 if they're going to attack a NATO associate like Taiwan and assist Russia in attacking the United States financial manipulation and money laundering playground of Ukraine? Zelensky, Trudeau, Biden, Klaus Schwab, they're all one and the same. The World Economic Forum is here to make you and I poor, and we need to do whatever the fuck we can to hedge against this. That's different for everybody. But as you can see, the rats are fleeing the sinking ship. The Alliance Cooperator, who was recently charged by the SEC in the over $5.8 billion implosion that occurred in 2020, excused himself to the bathroom at the SEC offices and never came back. What a fucking joke, right? What a fucking joke. I'd like people to note that some economic observers point to the collapse of Lehman Brothers from 2008 as a key trigger for the stock market meltdown. That's partially true in the sense that Lehman's use of high-risk derivative products like overnight repurchase agreements, repos, as collateral to borrow for short-term financing were a major issue. Short-term financing certainly exemplified the high-risk leverage that Wall Street firms abused in the run-up to the Great Recession of 2008. And nothing has fucking changed except the company name. Lehman took things to extremes in mid-2008, just like Evergrande has done these last several years leading into their bankruptcy. And banks have over-leveraged themselves to the tits, like Goldman Sachs. 130 times to 1, their derivatives to assets ratio. 130 to 1. Goldman assets, derivatives to assets ratio. When these so-called overnight repo loans fall out of favor. Investors demanded other, more stable forms of short-term loan collateral and stopped approving repo agreements as collateral. Many also asked the Lehman Brothers to repay its short-term debt obligations in full, which is what's going on right fucking now with Evergrande, the Chinese real estate developer that has trillions of dollars of coupon notes and commercial bonds with offshore and onshore bondholders. Additionally, Lehman's once ample portfolio of mortgage-backed securities declined substantially in value. This caused credit default swaps to absolutely fly through the roof because the credit default swaps are the hedge for the mortgage-backed securities. And today, in 2022, many around the world, credit default swaps around the world have increased 500% to 2,000% over the last several months. That left a highly leveraged Lehman in the breach with no way to cover its debts, and soon the investment banking giant slid into bankruptcy. With few suitors, few companies able to bail the company out, Lehman declared bankruptcy on September 15th, 2008. There was all sorts of companies trying to figure out a way to buy Lehman, and nobody could do it because it was complete garbage. Even the Japanese were trying to get a fantastic fucking deal on it, and they were the last ones still hacking away at it, still trying to make it work till the very last moment, and they couldn't. September 15th, 2008, Lehman Brothers went out of business. Stock market fucking crashed. Only 18 months earlier, the company's stock price was at $86 a share, and the company had reported net income of $4.2 billion the year prior. Go ahead, brother.
Oh man, well.
Today, Evergrande has hundreds of billions, if not trillions, in loans that have been taken out in the form of commercial paper loans to and from other companies, private lenders, bond payments that are still owed and due, private loans that are not shown on their books, which is why Evergrande has stopped trading on the Hong Kong and American stock exchanges. You can't find it, you can't buy it. However, their collateral still have value. Their collateral still has value, notional value of those bonds, even though banks and hedge funds and market makers can continue to buy these bonds with your 401k, your pension, your IRA, your thrift savings plan, your ISA account. If you don't manage your own, they can buy it for you. And I bet you the vast majority of people, every single one of them almost, that is not self-managed, that money is being put into these ETFs. I can attest to that because that happened to my mother. Banks were trying to take advantage of her. I had her pull her 401k. That was absolutely not going to fucking fly. Now she's a proud owner of SPY Puts, VIX Calls, AMC, GameStop, MMAT, BBIG, BBUI, Sundial, you name it. I can go on. As am I. Why? Because the volatility in these current markets is going to cause a stock market crash sooner or later. In my opinion, much sooner than later. Like, very fucking soon. But I'm not a financial advisor, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, do your own due diligence. But I will say that Evergrande has hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars in this loans due to onshore and offshore investors worldwide, including the largest, most over-leveraged banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, HSBC, UBS, Alliance, Goldman, and the list goes on. Thank you, Coiled. Coiled, again, you're too kind. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Appreciate you. Former Fitch Ratings analyst Dr. Marco Metzler and I will be discussing groundbreaking Evergrande news. Dr. Marco Metzler. Oh, yeah.
What champion.
Exactly. This guy's a fucking champ. He's a former director of Fitch Ratings Agency, now with his own company, Deutsche Market Screening Agency. There's a ratings company very similar. And Evergrande is finally facing their insolvency petition. They have defaulted, to the best of my knowledge, Evergrande has defaulted on making their bond payment to Dr. Marco Metzler and Deutsche Market Screening Agency. And we're going to see, potentially, history in the making. The Lehman Brothers moment of Evergrande pushing commercial-backed securities. We could potentially see history in the making of Evergrande going officially bankrupt and the beginning of the real estate and stock market crash of 2022. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the beginning, but the culmination of the stock market crash 2022, as well as the real estate commercial mortgage-backed security crash of 2022.
Oh man, keep talking dirty.
You want some more dirt?
Oh yeah,
On
make
Friday.
it filthy.
On Friday, May 20th, Dr. Metzler and I are going to have another discussion here on this channel, and he's going to give us an update. And I have a feeling he's probably got some pretty good fucking news for us.
Holy shit, it's happening again.
At the same time, GameStop is making similar moves in the cost to borrow and short interest that it made in May and June of 2021 and January of 2021 before the Executive Order 13959 and 14032 came into effect, right?
Oh yeah.
Thanks to User of Intellect for Log the Float. That was a wonderful concept and well executed to the best of his ability, his or her ability. And GME's cost to borrow has hit nearly 300% and 25% short interest of the free float, Ortex estimated only. There are over 1 million borrowed shares, and the average cost to borrow has risen to 13 plus percentage points. There are over 20.5 million shares on loan. How many shares of the float exist for GameStop? It's not even 100 million, right? What do we got, like 78 million or 86 million?
Something like that.
Yeah, 78 or 86 million shares of GameStop. And there are 20 million out on loan. Unreal. The short interest percentage that we saw back here on June of 2021 and a $344 price range had very similar lows that we're currently having. AMC Entertainment. We've also seen on Schwab that their cost for margin to short AMC has risen to 200% of margin collateral required and 300% for GameStop. We have seen short interest rate increasing on both of them in tremendous fashion. And we've got rats fleeing the sinking ship, China discussing the invasion of Taiwan, defeating regional U.S. forces, Russia attacking Ukraine and invading Ukraine and destroying United States biolabs and Pentagon state-owned laboratories in Ukraine. An executive order that's going to wipe out over 70 different Chinese military companies off the stock market, which is over twice as many as were in play in 2021. Short interest is already beginning to rise. Meanwhile, the President of the United States and the House are about to pull Trudeau and eliminate more of Americans' freedoms via the use of emergency powers. Today, the House Committee of the Judiciary had a about 2-hour-long discussion basically on how to take our civil liberties. The Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties met today at 9:30 a.m. And the hearing was to discuss examining potential reforms of emergency powers. What happened with the emergency powers with the trucking convoy and Trudeau taking people's money from their bank accounts and arresting people that donated and arresting people that were helping the trucking convoy, people whose Bitcoin was seized and frozen and assets were frozen. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. It's unfortunate. And the COVID pandemic was a great excuse for the United States government and the central banks to print a lot of money right along with profit with the World Economic Forum and the owners of these major corporations. It allowed massive profits for Pfizer, Moderna, and the whole crew. The United States cases of COVID has tripled from 30,000 to 90,000 on a 7-day moving average, and nobody gives a shit because not as many people are dying as Pfizer and Moderna once claimed. And a lot more people, unfortunately, are being injured by vaccines. That's unfortunate as well. I hate to say all those things. Meanwhile, an Evergrande bankruptcy is imminent. And you've got Sunak, real estate developer, just failed. Sunak Real Estate Development just failed to make a $740 million bond payment. Sunak is Evergrande 2.0, and they just failed to make another bond payment. They are also in default, right along with Evergrande and 100 other Chinese real estate developers. We're seeing an epic collapse. We're seeing Dr. Marco Metzler doing the right thing and taking these fraudsters to bankruptcy court where they belong. We're only 2 weeks away from June 3rd, basically, to see what happens with this executive order. And we've got stablecoins collapsing, just like Janet Yellen told us they would in front of Congress on September 27th, 2021, under the CARES Act. That was her testimony and her words. You've heard it here on this channel. And the second major risk to financial stability is the over-leveraging of hedge funds. Rest in peace, Luna. Luna was first. Luna, for those of you that are unaware, was a stablecoin. Many people lost their life savings. Many, many people around the world. There's currently a lawsuit against Do Kwon stating that he has robbed Luna investors because the stablecoin was quote-unquote pegged to the US dollar and should be basically insured by the FDIC. However, to the best of my knowledge, cryptocurrencies are not guaranteed or insured by the FDIC.
Hell no. Wild West.
Wild fucking West. And now you've got DEI. DEI was also pegged to the US dollar. It was another stable coin. This thing has dropped from $1.99 on the dollar to around, it was as low as around 53 cents and is currently trading around 60 to 62 cents. It has become depegged from the US dollar and is no longer stable. You saw it start to melt away a few weeks ago. And just this week, you heard Jerome Powell tell us that there was going to be risk in high levels of volatility in financial markets and low levels of liquidity. DEI's price plummeted by almost 30% at the time, and their market cap was down to $4.5 billion, which is a reduction of 30% almost. Tether's a Ponzi scheme, just like Luna. New York Supreme Court rejected Tether's petition to block the public from receiving documents detailing the reserves of Tether, because Tether does not have enough actual reserves to keep it pegged to the US dollar. Tether is going to be the next one, in my opinion. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but you've got DEI, you've got Luna, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Tether, when this information comes out, between Bitfinex and Tether, two affiliated cryptocurrency firms. They were seeking to maintain certain information exempt from the FOIL disclosure relating to a settlement with OAG in February 2021. Why would they do this, Cash? They hold Evergrande bonds. Why else?
Financial runs.
Because it's going to cause financial runs. They don't want anybody to know that they don't have enough assets. They're printing trillions of dollars every other week. Like it's going out of style. It has been ordered that the SIR reply is to be filed within 7 days after the notice of entry of this order. And their motion for leave to file a SIR reply is granted. I guess we'll see what happens here shortly when we find out. Because nobody knows for sure.
Man, I'm ready for the MOASS. I'm so ready, and I know you all are ready too. Let's get this fucking money.
Let's get this show on the fucking road, J. Powell. Get the fucking money printer out.
Music is about to stop.
We're so close.
Most people don't even realize it because it's going to come on so fast. But it's actually already started. The stock market crash began on the first day, the first trading day of January 2021. We covered it here the entire month of January. The entire month of January, I streamed for 5 to 8 hours a day because I knew what the fuck was what was coming, what was in front of us, and I knew it was just the beginning. I can't continue that. I've got businesses to run. I've got a family to take care of. I've got other stuff. Anyways, the point is, when this really does kick off, I'll be here to sit and enjoy this bittersweet moment together. But this liquidity crisis is going to be something fierce. There's going to be 3 types of cash outflows: withdrawals of retail deposits, losses of secured funding such as repurchase agreements, and collateral calls under derivative contracts. The scenario overstates the level of cash inflows available to offset outflows. Thanks, Randall Cornett, for pointing out that for many of those of you who don't know, a major surprise in 2008 was that distressed banks abruptly lost repo funding. The first Bear Stearns in March and then Lehman Brothers in September. When the counterparties became worried that these firms might fail, they refused to roll their repos, returned collateral, and demanded the cash that they had lent them. It is not completely clear why this has happened, but students of the episode suggest that the counterparties feared some kind of risk from dealing with Bear and Lehman. Whatever the reasons, losses of repos were the largest factors in Bear and Lehman's liquidity crisis. We've seen new banks added to the reverse repurchase program. Why would there be new banks? Because they need to be more people that can participate in these risky bets.
It's getting worse.
Things are getting shittier, not better. The number of counterparties is increasing, but the daily amount of reverse repurchase is slightly stagnant due to the fact that they're losing money in the stock market and on derivatives and poisonous, toxic contracts and short positions. HSBC, Bank of New York Mellon, and Wells Fargo were all added to the list of standing repo facility counterparties effective May 13th. $7.6 trillion has been wiped off the face of the earth as global equities tank for the entirety of 2022. Meanwhile, perma bulls continue to call for buying the fucking dip, guys. In the financial crisis, $2.3 trillion were lost. In the pandemic, $4.4 trillion were lost. The dot-com crash, $4.6 trillion. We currently stand at losses of $7.6 trillion, and the snowball has just started rolling down the hill. Frosty's going to get real big before he lands at the bottom. Pretty soon, the NASDAQ alone will have lost more value than the pandemic and the dot-com crisis combined.
Yeah, soft landing my ass.
Lord, lead me as we navigate the depths of financial markets and give me strength to diamond hand my shares and calls as we hedge for a meltdown, the likes of which no living being has seen before, and deliver us from evil hedge funds. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Jesus walks with me, please, because we're going to fucking need you. We're going to need you to help us from these fucking hedge funds and deliver us from temptation. Prevent us from over-leveraging the way that JP and Bank of America and Goldman Sachs have over-leveraged. You guys have seen Yellen testify that stablecoins and hedge funds over-leveraging are the largest concerns to financial stability. You've seen Luna drop from $1 per to 0.00002 now. There's another zero from when I took this screenshot, or it's when somebody took this screenshot a few days ago. This was like on 5.5, I believe. What happened to GameStop a few days back? We saw a massive run-up in a price. Not massive, I'm sorry, I shouldn't exaggerate. We saw a run-up in the price of GameStop. A very modest one. And it was halted 3 times. 3 times. What happened to the bid sell? The bid and ask? In case you can't read that, the ask size was 1, and it was $214,000 a share. At that very moment when the halt occurred. Why was the halt? Why was it halted at that moment? Because the large increase in price over that 20-minute time span or 15-minute time span caused the next ask available to be $214,000. So a halt was created by the plunge protection team and market makers in order to give retail more of a chance to put other shares up for sale so that hedge funds could buy them instead of having to buy this one for $214,000 a share. That was a minor incursion. And in my opinion, that was just the beginning of some little bit of actual hedging here for what's going to start to happen in these next few days regarding the executive order and the hedging for all of the calls that are on the market that need to be hedged for still. Because people don't seem to understand that market makers haven't been hedging for, and hedge funds haven't been hedging for AMC and GameStop and all their short positions for the most part. They've been leaving a lot of unreported short positions unhedged because there's no reason to do so, because they're not under fear of margin call, because they're able to hide their use of their short positions via married puts and swaps, just like Archegos did a couple years ago. So, same tricks, different pony. At the same time, the Federal Reserve has not even increased interest rates by a full percentage point yet. Not even 1%. And we're already seeing market meltdowns and stablecoin meltdowns and hedge funds announce that they're going out of business. Melvin Capital, Tiger, one of the most successful, beginning to lose billions of dollars. Same with Americans, United States households. So the point is that the Federal Reserve cannot continue to quantitative ease. They're already starting to reduce their quantitative easing and beginning quantitative tapering. The current largest, let's stop right here. Inflation is another thing that is out of control, and because inflation is out of control, we're seeing rates of over 11%, for example, in Atlanta Fed core 3-month inflation rate. That's an absolute insane number. But because of this, the Federal Reserve can't just cut rates. They can't cut interest rates, or inflation will increase even further. They can't print more money because that'll create further inflation. They can't sell off their mortgage-backed securities and commercial mortgage-backed securities because the Fed owns just as much as all the banks combined, almost $3 trillion worth of mortgage-backed securities. So if the Fed owns $3 trillion of mortgage-backed securities and all the banks own $3 trillion of mortgage-backed securities, who's going to buy them as the Fed unwinds their balance sheet? You or me? Probably not. If Evergrande and Sunak are defaulting and bankrupt and all that collateral is now worthless, if the stock market's crashing and the bond market's crashing, stablecoins are collapsing, and Bitcoin's losing value along with others, as we've seen it down to 28,000 and change recently. If Russia's attacking Ukraine, if China's attacking Taiwan, and supply chain issues are devastating Americans and people worldwide, energy crisis and food crises are devastating people worldwide, and 18 food processing plants have burned down over the last few months alone in the United States. Why would Biden extend an executive order to assist China? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, not now.
This is the largest black swan that we have ever fucking seen on Wall Street. And we're in the middle of making history. We're in the middle of being a part of history. And in my opinion, everybody who's invested and hedged for the market crash and the short squeezes to come is going to be filthy, stinking, fucking rich.
So goddamn rich.
This man, Kenneth Cordell Bedpost Griffin, is probably shitting his pants. His time is his days are numbered. They truly are. I truly believe that.
Inevitable.
And the market crash is inevitable. And the short squeeze is inevitable. And the Federal Reserve will bail out the market makers and the banks. Because Joe, if you guys know Joseph, the former Fed trader, he has told us before several times that market makers are too big to fail. And the banks are too big to fail. They're like the power company. It's impossible. The market makers will be bought out. Will be bailed out, just like a lot of prime brokers, just like a lot of broker dealers, or bought out. Some will be bailed out in order for them to buy out others for pennies on the dollar. And many people will be broke because of that fact.
Yeah. Money printer moment.
Money printer moment. It's going to be one of these moments where these assholes are looking down on people, laughing while they protest in front of their building, while they burn down Wall Street, probably. I don't condone violence, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's a reason Ken Griffin looks like shit. Ken Griffin looks like shit because he's stressed to high hell, you know? He's been running things around the country and around the world and speaking to investors in La Nava, Spain, and South America almost monthly, and making daily trips across the country, across the United States. You've got GameStop issuing a dividend. A stock split dividend, you know, and then BBIG issuing a dividend. BBIG's is coming on May 27th, 2022, lining up with the June 3rd executive order. On or about, not necessarily on that date, they said estimate. They used a tilde, and a tilde is the line that means on or about. So on or about May 27th. Then you've got GameStop, June 2nd. The day before the June 3rd executive order, they're going to announce, probably going to announce, that they approve the stock split. And that's going to cause FOMO, fear of missing out, What happens? Oh my God, you guys. What the fuck happened on January 28th, 2021, when the day prior, the days prior, people were watching Deep Fucking Value on the news in front of Congress saying that he loves the stock. It caused massive FOMO buying by retail, and that caused delta hedging by market makers and short hedge funds, and that caused gamma squeezes. It was all delta hedging. They weren't closing shorts. The SEC told us in their report. Gary Gensler did us a favor and told us the shorts have not covered. The shorts have not closed their positions. All they did was roll them in ISDA contracts and swaps and hide them in married puts and hide them in the options chain and divorce puts. All they did was delta hedge a little bit because they were scared of the executive order. And they got, each time, they managed to get that collateral back from Biden. But Biden took Russia's collateral and took Russia out of the American stock market. And you can't buy those anymore. I know. I own Veon, VEON. And that shit's worthless. I'm holding it still. I'm holding calls. And I can't sell it. Why? Because Biden won't fucking let me. But guess what Biden will let me? He'll let me get rich by executive order. Because he's the one that's calling it out. He's the one that's telling us it's going to happen. The same way that he sanctioned Russia is the same way that China's getting sanctioned right now. And we've seen time and time again that these quarterly reports on bank trading and derivatives from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency prove to us that 4 large banks hold almost 89% of the total banking industry notional amount of derivatives. The vast majority of this being bullshit rehypothecations and negative fair value derivatives. 72% of total derivative notional amounts were concentrated in interest rate products like the overnight reverse repo. Why? Because the new regulations, the new SEC and Cat 5 regulations force many of the major banks to hold over $1 trillion in collateral cash assets every single day. Margin calls are coming. The same time those companies own billions and billions of dollars of short positions on GameStop and long positions on companies like Evergrande. So I'm tired of pretending that this market crash is not exciting and does not provide a great purchasing opportunity for GameStop and AMC and meme stock shareholders. It provides, in my opinion, amazing opportunities. And anybody who says otherwise, I think fails to realize the fact that the government doesn't fucking care about you. They don't care if you get rich or go broke. They'd prefer you to go broke, to own nothing, and to be happy. And I think for once, by executive order of the president, we've got a chance to get extremely fucking rich. Why?
So rich.
Yeah, so fucking rich. Why? Because they're owned. China Evergrande is on the verge of collapse, and many of these other emerging market funds are held by these same banks and many others.
We're so lucky to be here. The planets are aligning. This is like once in many generations of wealth transferring in one moment.
You've got hedge funds closing down, analysts attacking bankrupt, fraudulent companies because they know that it's the same shit 2008 repeated. You've got banks like BlackRock that own millions and millions of meme stock shares that are loaned out to companies like Citadel and Susquehanna and State Street Bank. And when there's more of this, due to Sunak and Evergrande defaulting and finally going bankrupt, and all this, a bunch of these companies go to zero, you're going to see real margin calls. real fucking margin calls like we have never seen before.
It's a brr that we've never seen before either.
You know what's fucking scary is that the government is going to have to print so much money to give out to all of these companies to bail them out because they're too big to fail, that it will, will trickle down to retail and we'll get our portion, our measly little sip out of the Nile River of the stock market. It won't make a fucking difference to the stock market or to these guys in comparison, even if we become billionaires. But people will need to be aware to invest in tangible assets. I think that will be a very important thing for people to invest in tangible assets after the squeeze in order to protect against the hyperinflation that is going to hit our country and the world. It's a really scary proposition.
Yeah, and I'd rather be here than anywhere.
And we are at the right place at the right time. I firmly, firmly believe that. The put-call open interest ratio for the Hang Seng has dropped to the lowest level in 20 years. That shows downside hedges have been steadily removed as the market cratered. The issue is that the problems we're seeing right now in the economy are not priced in. They're not priced into the stock market, and it's a really serious problem. Look at how many bondholders BlackRock's portfolio added 31 million shares of Evergrande bonds between January and August of 2021. We've been telling you guys since June of 2021 that Evergrande did not pay their fucking bond notes. Francisco and Cash and Silverback and I had this conversation here with you all in June of 2021 about Evergrande not paying their fucking bond notes while the news was telling everybody that they had, because it was a lie. It was a fucking Ponzi scheme. Thanks to Dr. Marco Metzler and people like him, Dr. Michael Burry, for example, we're making strides against these fucking criminals. I'm tired of pretending that I'm not excited for this market crash because we need to clear the fucking poisonous, toxic derivatives out of our goddamn markets. We need to get this short squeeze over with so that our financial system can begin to recover.
Hell yeah.
The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency proved to us that dark pool trades increased to over 62% of all trades. And for certain things like precious metals, which are extremely highly manipulated, dark pool trades account for 98% of all precious metal trades. 98% of all precious metal trades are traded in dark pools. Do you understand? AMC and GameStop are not the only stocks that are heavily manipulated. It's the entire fucking stock market. And when it collapses, heavily shorted stocks, commodities, and precious metals are going to go to the fucking moon. I'm excited. I'm truly excited. I think we're going to be so God blessed fucking rich by executive order of the President of the United States and former President Donald Trump. And for that, I thank them. Meanwhile, we've got... Get the goddamn money printer out, J-Pow. The new DTC collateral haircuts began on May 2nd, 2022. Everything over the last 364 days on this 364-day line of credit facility between the DTC and NSCC got a massive haircut. There was one bank added, and in the appendix of the executive order, in the appendix of this DTC risk management change to DTC collateral haircuts from April 29th, 2022, we saw that this prevents major banks from rehypothecating their assets to their sub banks and their subordinate banks. So HSBC can no longer give their HSBC branch overseas, I'm sorry, say here in the States, collateral through asset rehypothecation. That is a huge, huge step forward in correcting our markets. And also a way for the DTC and SEC to push along this financial collapse and push the market makers and hedge funds that have been abusing this stuff over the ledge, because somebody's got to go down for it. Like Bill Hwang.
All of your TSPs locked up.
Oh my God. Cash, you just reminded me the one thing I forgot to tell everybody. Meanwhile, your thrift savings plan is completely fucking locked up. The thrift savings plans right now for military and federal employees is inaccessible. Or should I say, the last day to submit or access forms and to withdraw, rollover, or transfer requests for the thrift savings plans was on May 16th, 2022.
Well.
The last day to make transfers between different mixes of investments or contributions is May 26th, 2022. From May 26th through the first week of June, account access will be unavailable, but all invested funds will continue to reflect market changes during that time period. What does this mean for you? If your money's invested there and the ETF or the fund runs to the fucking moon and you just made a hundreds or thousands of % increase investment, you can't sell and lock it in. If your thrift savings plan tanks and you lose the vast majority of what you've been saving up, there's nothing you can do to stop it. I don't know what's going to happen, but in my opinion, this would be an amazing way for a market maker and a hedge fund and the world central banks to lock up billions, if not trillions of dollars in these thrift savings plans for about a 2-week period in order to allow the markets to crash, to maintain some liquidity, leave a set of bag holders. Meanwhile, they close and cover some short positions in heavily shorted stocks. Liquidations will likely happen. The mother of all short squeezes will probably begin at some point during or after a massive, massive, bloody red day on the stock market of several percentage points, if not double-digit percentage points on the SPY. If it happens during this time period, anybody that's got their money in a thrift savings plan will be unable to make changes to their account. And I'm not a fear monger, none of us here are, but I think it's important to note that people should do something with their investments, because now, with all of the volatility that is currently happening, is probably not a great time to not have access to your investments in the stock market of any sort.
Yeah, when is that ever a good idea, ever?
How can it be a coincidence that this is the case of what's happening? Meanwhile, the June 3rd, 2022 executive order is going to cause the same things that occurred in May 27th of 2021 and January of 2021. How can it be coincidental? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. None in the slightest. I gotta get some of these photos closed because I've got about 100 open. But let's not forget, BlackRock owns millions and millions of shares of Evergrande. They own billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of emerging market funds. Margin calls will eventually go out, especially if the stock market continues to crash and the economy remains stagnant. I'd like to thank Paul from Paul P Music on Instagram for the awesome song we had in the intro. And I'd like to mention that regarding the price of diesel and fuels, the USDA Northeastern Broiler Fryer Index has increased to $357 a share.
Running out of diesel.
This is the whole body index based on Southern States parts trading. You know, not great, not a great start. It looks like my man Edward.
We can make it if we try.
Okay, sorry about that. That's pretty loud. Looks like my man Edward put up a great comparison of GameStop and AMC. For those people that are unaware, that they're often traded together and apart and against each other, much like many other meme stocks. The reason being because they are held in many of the same exchange traded funds, the same sort of exchange traded funds that we're talking about. Except not emerging market funds, because they're located here in the United States, not in emerging markets like Brazil or China or Africa. That was excellent. Thanks, Edward. Appreciate that, man. That's phenomenal. But yeah, anybody that does have a thrift savings plan, I would recommend that they do whatever they can to secure their investments, because exactly what's coming next, I don't think anybody is sure, except I think a lot of people remember what happened the last time the volatility was this bad. And the last time, and you can't even compare 2008 to today, because they're incomparable. 2008, we had about 80 billion, sorry, 80 tri. In 2008, the banks had around $90 trillion worth of derivatives. And now they're looking at over $430 trillion worth of derivatives. Again, the vast majority being rehypothecated bullshit and shorts marked as long.
Half a quadrillion now.
And that's only talking banks. If you take in other companies as well, we are in the quadrillions as far as the derivatives. There are an estimated $4 quadrillion worth of derivatives globally, if not more. If not more. So on that one, Lord, give me strength. Give me strength to diamond hand my fucking shares and calls. I do wanna... Go ahead, brother.
Bless you, my son. Boo, boo, boo.
On that note, I think for those of you that come to the end of this video and are wondering, what the fuck is this guy talking about for the last, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it's been. The TLDR, the too long didn't read for this, is we're going to be so goddamn fucking rich. That's about it.
Jerome Powell, get the goddamn money printer out.
Gonna be so goddamn rich.
I think it's time to blow this thing. Get everybody's stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Fucking rich. I love that fucking song. I always try to play it. I'll play it in its entirety here in a few minutes. I just want to answer some people's questions briefly, because I know that a lot of people have some really good questions, and I don't want to have anybody feel like they've been left out, because I'm not ignoring you. There's just so many that I can't get to everybody at the same exact time. But I'm just going to run back the chat here. Reginald Larson, thanks for your support. Nicole Wen, Thank you as well. Alan Smith, appreciate your support, you guys. When are we getting paid? I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you when we're getting paid. But I still think we're going to be so goddamn fucking rich, and it's probably coming sooner than anybody can imagine. Joseph Turner, thank you very much. He says flash crash today, SPY after hour. I don't know, man. That might happen. Anything's fucking possible, especially all week long. The Federal Reserve has just lined up speakers all week long. Why? I don't know. Probably to confuse the shit out of people. I don't know why the fuck they're doing it now. Grandpa Barney, thanks so much for your support, bro. He says, hey, boss man, Powell sucks and Kenny's a piece of shit. Yeah, I'll second that. Kenny is a piece of shit. Just saying. Praying for Bigums to find peace and happiness in his heart. I agree as well. Give us our fucking money, Ken Griffin. Pay up. Close out your short positions. MC5, appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Lawless, you're too kind. Thank you both very much. We appreciate all you guys, everyone for subscribing. That as well. It does help the channel if you drop a like. It helps share it with other people, other investors, other human beings like you and I. Retail investors that are trying to get ahead and hedge themselves against this ridiculous inflation and these massive entrenchments on our rights and freedoms as human beings and as American and citizens of this world.
Hit the like button. Hit that shit. We're gonna be rich as shit.
Ferrari Boy says, hey boss, in your humble opinion, how long do you think MOASS lasts? I mean, that's a relative term, man. That's relative because nobody can see the future. Let's put it this way. How long will we be at the very, very top? Seconds. Milliseconds. That's what I believe. We'll be at the very top for milliseconds, and somebody will be the lucky bastard to sell off at the top. It's our, people have already gotten huge numbers out of AMC and GameStop and other stocks. I'm going to share my screen with you guys one more time here before we go, because I want you guys to see this if you haven't already seen it. AMC and GameStop were made to go position close only because the funding risks, the most significant systemic risks to financial markets that are vulnerable to financial runs, to the aggregate liabilities are over $18 trillion. That's because of banks, money market funds, as well as other cash management vehicles that they have invested in remain vulnerable to these runs, as well as over-leveraged hedge funds and stablecoins. Switching my screen over. And what it's done is it's caused AMC and GameStop to run to all-time highs. It's caused meme stocks to run thousands and thousands of percent in the days after the January and June run-ups. We saw it each time. Each single time. Thousands of percentage points. And it's not an accident. And people need to take note of what the fuck was happening to hedge themselves properly. Look at this. It's a ridiculous number of meme stocks if people just take the time to look into it. And what it means is a heavily shorted stock. The whole stock market at this point is a meme stock. The entire stock market, except not technically, because the meme stocks are the heavily shorted ones that are going to run, like some of these exchange-traded funds.
Well, hundreds that we know of.
There are hundreds of meme stocks like Sundial, Naked, Zomedica, Ocugen, AMC, GameStop that we know of that have run hundreds and thousands of percentages. The difference between AMC and GameStop and the rest of these is that we know that due to share counts, AMC retailers hold over 90% of the float of AMC, of all the actual shares that are supposed to exist. That means that institutions and short positions account for billions of, if not tens and dozens of billions of synthetic shares and naked shorts, most likely. I can't give you an exact number because they're hidden. They're self-reported. There are shorts marked as long. There are rehypothecations. There are ISDA contracts and swaps that are being rolled and hidden, just like in the same way that Archegos did to keep their banks off their back until they finally got margin called and held off. I'd like to thank Kenna and the Bull House for putting out this, these awesome, examples of how many ETFs hold AMC and GameStop. because it's an exceptional amount of information. And the ETFs are constantly being changed. Look at what happened during 87. The VXO and the VIX ran to 150, 90, 95. And we're already seeing $7.6 trillion in losses. That is much, much more than we ever saw in the past. It's a much higher number than we ever saw in the past.
Going to be way higher.
At this point,
that's why they opened the 180 strike on the VIX.
Exactly.
Hey, boss, did you talk about the VXX?
Holy fuck. Oh my God, you genius bastard. Thank you, Zembach. Appreciate you. One more thing. Barclays has officially announced that the VXX ETF is being shut down. Closed. Finito. Gone. Abandoned. Holy shit, how could I forget that? There's just so much going on that it's hard to even bring it all to everybody in one stream. It really is. Barclays has officially announced that the VXX is going to be shut down. London Metals Exchange, after reversing 5,600 plus trades, is announcing that they're going to quit trading, that they're going to cease the trading of silver and gold on the London Metals Exchange. Why? Because there's no open interest. Everybody said, fuck London Metals Exchange. I'm not going to trade on there if you're going to reverse my trades. And that's why Crypto.com said they were going to reverse trades on certain instances, and later on came out to say that they changed their mind. They're not going to do it because they knew that Crypto.com would go the way of the buffalo, much like London Metals Exchange is. First, London Metals Exchange reversed trades in nickel between $50,000 and $100,000 a share, and is now shutting down silver and gold, as well as potentially shutting down entirely due to almost no open interest. Nobody has faith in them, just like nobody would have faith in the New York Stock Exchange if they were to shut down trading in companies like AMC or GameStop. I wouldn't be surprised if buildings and companies weren't razed to the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if people were killed. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't condone violence in any way, but you know how people get when they lose their life savings. There are probably going to be people throwing themselves from buildings, and that's a terrible fucking thing to say, but it was a reality during the 2008 financial crisis. Crypto.com stated they were going to be reversing Luna trades from May 12th. I stated bankruptcy incoming. We're talking financial runs, baby. I don't know, maybe they fucking saw it. Maybe they saw it because they changed their mind. Crypto.com has said we don't want to lose all of our business, so we're going to change our mind and we're not going to reverse those trades. So I would urge the New York Stock Exchange to take note. I would urge investors to take note of these executive orders, 14032. And I would urge the community to start taking it very, very seriously. Because I can't guarantee that anything's going to happen. But if we're even remotely right, there's probably going to be financial runs. And boy, I love financial runs, and so does my ex-girlfriend, Janet Yellen. She fucking loves financial runs. On that note, it's time to get the fuck out of here. I wish you all peace and wealth. Let's get stinking fucking rich. Alan Smith, thank you for shout out, bro. Shout out to the Monkey Bunch from Solana Beach, Einstein Brothers. Hey, thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys. Andrew, love and prayers for Big Ums. Props to Boss and Think Take. Cash and Crew rock. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. One more thing. AMC under $10. Oh, we need to talk about this as well. Man, I can't even let you guys go today. AMC under $10, I believe, would probably only happen very briefly. Cash, would you like to explain why?
Yeah, anything below 10, and they receive a 5% haircut. The level.
If AMC drops under 10, it would get a 5% immediate collateral haircut. And if it drops lower than that, it would get a further asset collateral haircut. So it probably won't happen until the stock market crashes and AMC will come down to a very, very low level, maybe $6 to $8, if not a little bit lower, before it starts to move upwards. I don't know how long it will be there, but I suspect it won't be very long at all before it reaches that low and turns around. Delta hedging begins, and we get to new all-time highs. In part, thanks to this Executive Order 14032, as well as the over 70 Chinese military companies that are on it, as well as the Russian sanctions that we're currently seeing, and the ones that we're going to see in the future, especially if China does invade Taiwan. In the meantime, collapsing supply chain, trucking and shipping in general are moving very low volumes, and many logistics companies are currently seeing a reduction in volume and everything from drayage to capacity in air freight and domestic transit as well. That means that less people domestically are producing goods and services and shipping it to others. That means that also it's a fact that there has been a 75% reduction this month from last in Chinese imports via air cargo to the United States. 75% reduction. That's a lot less freight coming to this country. Especially, meanwhile, there's a massive shortage of baby formula and food on the shelves. I urge people to be as self-sufficient as possible and to prepare for some serious fucking financial runs. We're going to be so goddamn fucking rich, and I feel sorry for those that aren't, because it's going to be tough. Fucking rich. Damn it, we're going to be so fucking rich. I want my fucking money.
You're an original, aren't
hey,
you?
Yellen, give me the fucking money. Thank you, Larry, for your support. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Have a great day, everyone. I wish you peace and fucking well. Get the goddamn money printer out. So fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out.